I opened my phone to check my bank app and froze. The notification showed a massive withdrawal from my parents' retirement account. $245,000 gone in a single transaction. My heart raced as I clicked through to see where it went. The description read, "Real estate purchase." I immediately called my parents, but no answer. 10 years of savings, of sacrificing my own dreams to secure their retirement gone. And the worst part, I just found out they used it all to buy my younger brother Alex a house. If you are watching this, drop a comment telling me where you are from, and hit that subscribe button. I need to know if I am wrong for what I did next, because what happened after discovering this betrayal changed my family forever. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Boston shaped who I am today. Both my parents worked as public school teachers, earning modest salaries, but always making sure my brother Alex and I had everything we needed. Dad taught high school math for 30 years, while Mom specialized in elementary education. They were not wealthy by any means, but they created a warm home filled with books, encouragement, and family dinners where we discussed our days and dreams. I still remember how they would take turns helping with my science projects or driving me to programming club after school. They saved every penny to ensure we could pursue higher education. While our vacations were usually camping trips rather than fancy resorts, I never felt deprived. My childhood taught me the value of hard work and financial responsibility. After graduating with my computer science degree, I taught myself additional programming languages and landed a job at a growing tech company. Through dedication and countless late nights, I worked my way up to become a senior systems architect. By age 32, I was earning a comfortable six-figure salary, had my own apartment in the city, and enjoyed financial stability that my parents never experienced. The contrast with my younger brother Alex could not be more striking. 5 years my junior, at 27, he bounced between creative pursuits without committing to any particular career path. 1 month he would be excited about becoming a photographer. The next he was writing a screenplay, then trying his hand at graphic design. I admired his creative spirit, but his financial situation was perpetually unstable. It was during a holiday visit 3 years ago that I first realized how precarious my parents' retirement situation had become. Dad casually mentioned having to postpone retirement for another 5 years. When I asked about their savings, Mom quickly changed the subject. Later that night, I found their retirement statements while helping organize some paperwork. The balance was shockingly low for two people in their early 60s who hoped to retire soon. That night, I made a decision that would alter the course of my life. I would create a substantial retirement fund for them. They had given me everything, and now it was my turn to provide for them. I committed to setting aside 20% of my monthly income specifically for their retirement, a significant amount that would accumulate to ensure they could live comfortably in their golden years. This commitment meant significant personal sacrifices. I put off buying my own home, instead continuing to rent my modest apartment. Exotic vacations were replaced by weekend road trips. I drove the same reliable sedan I had purchased after college, rather than upgrading to the luxury car I could afford. My friends often teased me about my frugal lifestyle given my income, but they did not understand my mission. For 10 years, I diligently transferred money into their retirement account. I studied investment strategies and consulted with financial advisors to maximize growth. Watching the balance increase gave me immense satisfaction, knowing I was repaying the people who had sacrificed so much for me. By last month, the account had grown to $275,000, a sum that would provide security for their retirement years. Throughout this time, my relationship with Alex remained complicated. As the firstborn son, I had always taken on more responsibility, while Alex seemed to float through life expecting things to work out. Our parents, especially Mom, had always been more protective of him. Dad would say, "Your brother just needs more time to find his path," whenever I expressed concern about his lack of direction. Alex had a pattern of borrowing money without repayment. $20 here, $100 there, occasionally larger sums, for what he called investment opportunities in his latest passion project. He borrowed from our parents, too, despite their limited resources. Each time I would notice Mom slipping him extra cash, or Dad paying for his car repairs without question. Despite these frustrations, I continued to help when he needed it. When his car broke down last year, I covered the $2,000 repair bill. When he needed a security deposit for a new apartment, I provided it knowing I would likely never see that money again. After all, he was my brother, and family supports family. The first signs that something unusual was happening came about 3 months ago. Mom called sounding unusually excited. "We have a big surprise coming up for Alex," she said, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. When I asked for details, she became evasive. "Oh, you will find out soon enough. He really deserves this." When I visited the following weekend and casually brought up their retirement plans, Dad quickly steered the conversation toward Alex's latest photography exhibition. Later, I overheard them on the phone with Alex. Their voices hushed as they mentioned paperwork and signatures. When I entered the room, they abruptly ended the call. More unusual behaviors followed. Mom and Dad suddenly updated their living room furniture after years of saying they were saving every penny for retirement. They bought Alex an expensive new camera lens for his birthday, far more extravagant than gifts they had given in the past. When I questioned these purchases, Mom dismissed my concerns. "We are just enjoying life a little. You worry too much about money, Norris." Each time I called, they seemed to be in meetings or heading out the door. Our weekly Sunday dinners were repeatedly canceled or cut short. Something was definitely off, but I could not pinpoint what exactly was happening. A growing sense of unease settled in my stomach, but I tried to dismiss it as simple paranoia. The notification from the bank came on a Tuesday morning. "Unusual activity detected on linked account," read the alert. I nearly spilled my coffee when I saw the withdrawal amount, $245,000. Almost the entire retirement fund gone in a single transaction. My hands trembled as I dialed my parents' number. No answer. I called 3 more times in rapid succession, each call going straight to voicemail. I sent urgent text messages that showed as delivered, but remained unread. Panic rising, I canceled my meetings for the day and drove directly to their house, breaking speed limits along the way. As I turned onto their street, I noticed several unfamiliar cars parked in the driveway and along the curb. Music and laughter spilled from the open windows of their modest colonial home. I parked haphazardly and rushed to the front door, which stood slightly ajar. What I saw inside stopped me cold. Balloons decorated the living room. A banner hung across the fireplace reading, "Congratulations on your new home." In the center of the gathering stood Alex, beaming as he held up a set of house keys. My parents flanked him, their faces glowing with pride as friends and relatives applauded. They were throwing a housewarming party using the money I had saved for their retirement. For a moment, no one noticed me standing in the doorway. I watched as my father raised a toast to Alex and his beautiful new home. "We are so proud to be able to help you start this new chapter." Glasses clinked as my mother added, "You deserve this, sweetheart." The room fell silent when I finally stepped inside. My mother gasped softly, her champagne glass freezing midair. My father turned pale. Alex, however, met my gaze with a challenging look, as if daring me to ruin his moment. "Norris," my mother finally broke the silence. "We did not expect you today." "Clearly," I replied, my voice eerily calm despite the storm raging inside me. "I just received an alert about a $250,000 withdrawal from the retirement account. I was worried it was fraud. Now I see it was just theft." The guests shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. My father quickly asked them to give us some privacy, and the room cleared out with awkward murmurs and concerned glances. Once alone, my father attempted to explain. "Son, we were going to tell you. Alex really needed this opportunity to establish himself. The housing market is so competitive now, and this place was perfect for him." "Perfect," I echoed in disbelief. "That money was for your retirement. 10 years I've been saving, sacrificing my own future, to ensure you would be secure." My mother approached, her expression pleading. "Norris, you have a successful career, a stable life. Your brother needs this foundation to finally find his footing. We are his parents too, and we have to think about both our children." That account was specifically created for your retirement. I emphasized, struggling to maintain composure. Not for buying Alex a house. Alex finally spoke up, his tone defensive. Not everything is about you, Norris. Mom and Dad helped you through college and gave you opportunities that set you up for success. Now it is my turn. Besides, they made this decision, not me. That was when I realized this betrayal went deeper than a single transaction. How long have you been planning this? I asked. The guilty exchange of glances between them told me everything. About 3 months, my father finally admitted. We wanted to make sure everything was perfect before telling you. My mother added, Alex helped us understand that we have given you so much over the years. You received more support for your education, more attention, because you were the firstborn. In many ways, we owe Alex this opportunity to balance things out. I felt physically ill hearing these words. For a decade, I had lived below my means to provide for them, and they had been secretly plotting to give that money to my brother, who had never demonstrated financial responsibility. You all discussed this behind my back for 3 months. While I continued adding to the account, the magnitude of the deception was staggering. You are making too big a deal of this, Alex interjected. It is their money after all. They can do what they want with it. Get out, I told him, my voice dangerously quiet. This conversation is between me and our parents. This is their house, not yours, he shot back. You do not get to tell me to leave. My mother placed her hand on my arm. Norris, please. You are ruining what should be a happy day. We can discuss the financial details later. Later. When the money is gone and you have nothing left for retirement, the account only has $30,000 left. How exactly do you plan to live on that? I pulled away from her touch. We have it all figured out. My father insisted, though his confidence seemed to waver. I think you should go, my mother said quietly. You are upset, and we cannot have a reasonable conversation right now. I looked between them, these people I had loved and trusted completely, now standing united against me in defense of their reckless decision. Fine. I will go, but this conversation is far from over. As I walked out, Alex called after me. Thanks for the house, big brother. The door slammed behind me, but not before I heard laughter resume inside. That night, unable to sleep, I scrolled through photos of happier times with my family, tears streaming down my face. 10 years of extra shifts, past promotions that would have required relocation. Vacations never taken the home. I had not bought, all sacrificed for people who had betrayed my trust so completely. The betrayal cut deeper when I received a text from Alex around midnight. The housewarming party was great. Shame you had to rain on the parade. Thanks for the sweet digs, though. Attached was a photo of him posing in front of a spacious colonial-style house that must have cost every penny of the missing money. I blocked his number immediately, then lay awake until dawn, alternating between grief and anger, wondering how the people I loved most could have hurt me so deeply. The following days were a blur of pain and determination as I channeled my emotions into action. I contacted the bank to understand exactly what had happened. The customer service representative confirmed my fears. My parents had indeed withdrawn $245,000 with proper authorization. Since they were the primary account holders, despite my contributions, I had no legal recourse. Still, I needed to know the full picture. I hired a private financial investigator who discovered alarming details about the house purchase. The property Alex now owned was valued at $260,000. He had only contributed $15,000 of his own money toward the down payment, the rest coming entirely from my parents' retirement fund. Even more concerning, my investigator uncovered that Alex had qualified for the mortgage based on inflated income statements. His freelance photography business had never generated the steady income claimed on the application. This meant he would almost certainly struggle to make the monthly payments of $2,400. The most devastating discovery came when I obtained copies of the financial agreement my parents had signed. They had not only emptied their retirement account for the down payment, but had also committed to helping with the monthly mortgage payments. They had pledged $1,000 monthly from their already limited teacher pensions to ensure Alex could keep the house. I consulted with a lawyer to explore my options. The news was disheartening. I am sorry, Mr. Lambert, the attorney explained, but legally the money belonged to your parents. Despite your intentions and contributions without written documentation specifying the purpose of these gifts, you have no claim to recover the funds. This reality forced me to confront the dire future my parents now faced. They had planned to retire within 2 years. Their pensions would provide approximately $4,000 monthly, but with $1,000 going to Alex's mortgage and considering healthcare costs, utilities, food, and other essentials, they would struggle to make ends meet. The remaining $30,000 in their account would be depleted within 2 years if they maintained their current lifestyle. A week after the housewarming party, I requested a family meeting. I chose Alex's new home as the location, feeling it appropriate to have this conversation surrounded by the physical manifestation of their betrayal. When I arrived, Alex answered the door, wearing designer clothes clearly purchased recently. The house was sparsely furnished, but with several expensive new pieces. A large television dominated the living room, and professional camera equipment was scattered on what appeared to be custom-built shelving units. My parents arrived shortly after, looking uncomfortable but defensive. We gathered in the dining room, where I had prepared financial documents and projections to illustrate the severity of the situation. I have asked you here because we need to discuss the reality of what you have done. I began, my voice steady, despite my churning emotions. This decision has catastrophic implications for your retirement, and you need to understand exactly what you are facing. I laid out the numbers, clearly showing them month by month how quickly their remaining funds would disappear, especially with the commitment to Alex's mortgage payments. You cannot continue working indefinitely. I explained to my father, who had recently experienced health issues related to stress, and the cost of living continues to increase while your pensions remain fixed. My mother interrupted. We understand money is tight, Norris, but supporting our children is our responsibility. Alex needed this house to stabilize his life. And what about your lives? I countered. What happens when you run out of money? When you cannot afford your medications or repair your home? Who will support you? Then Alex shifted in his seat, looking annoyed rather than concerned. They will be fine. The housing market is only going up. In a few years, I can refinance or sell at a profit and pay them back. I turned to him in disbelief. Your mortgage is based on inflated income statements. You cannot afford the monthly payments on your own, which is why they are subsidizing you. How exactly will you generate enough additional income to refinance? My father looked startled. What do you mean, inflated income statements? Before Alex could interject, I presented the documentation my investigator had uncovered. His photography business generated $38,000 last year. The mortgage application claims $85,000. He committed fraud, and you are enabling it. My mother gasped, but quickly recovered. There must be a misunderstanding. Alex has projects lined up that will increase his income substantially this year. Potential income does not pay current bills, I stated flatly. Here is my proposal. Alex sells the house immediately. The proceeds go back into your retirement account. He can find an apartment within his actual budget and you can proceed with retirement as planned. Alex exploded. Absolutely not. This is my house. You are just jealous because Mom and Dad are finally doing something for me instead of you for once. My father placed a calming hand on his shoulder. No one is selling the house. We made this decision as a family. As a family, I repeated incredulously. I was not included in this decision, despite being the one who built that retirement fund. That is your role, Norris, my mother said, her words cutting deep. You have always been the provider, the responsible one. It is your duty to help us. And your brother. We expected you to understand and continue supporting us. In that moment, I saw with perfect clarity what they truly expected of me: indefinite financial support, with no boundaries, no respect for my sacrifices, and no consideration for my own future. They had taken my decade of generosity and twisted it into an obligation, an expectation that I would simply fill the financial hole they had willingly created. I understand perfectly now, I said, gathering my documents. And I have made my decision too. Effective immediately, I am cutting off all financial support to this family. The stunned silence that followed was broken by my father's spluttering. You cannot be serious. You would abandon your family over money. This is not about money, I corrected him. This is about respect, trust, and responsibility. You betrayed my trust, disrespected my sacrifices, and demonstrated complete financial irresponsibility. Until Alex sells this house, and the money is returned to your retirement fund, I will not contribute another penny to this family. My mother began to cry. How will we manage? You know we need your help. You should have considered that before emptying your retirement account, I replied, my heart breaking despite my resolve. My terms are simple. Sell the house, restore the retirement fund, or proceed without my financial support. You are trying to control us with money. Alex accused, his face flushed with anger. This is financial abuse. I looked at him calmly. No, this is a boundary, something this family desperately needs to learn about. As I stood to leave, my father made one last appeal. Son, please. We are family. We can work this out. Family works together honestly, I replied. Family respects sacrifices and honors commitments. What you did was not family behavior. It was exploitation. When you are ready to make things right, you know how to reach me. With that, I walked out, my heart simultaneously lighter from setting this boundary and heavier from the pain of family betrayal. The next morning, I began restructuring my financial life. I removed my name from all shared accounts and credit cards. I created a new retirement account exclusively in my name. I updated my will and healthcare directives to remove my family members as beneficiaries and decision-makers. For weeks afterward, my phone buzzed constantly with calls and messages from my parents. They alternated between guilt trips, accusations of selfishness, and pleas for reconciliation without addressing the fundamental issue. I maintained my position calmly but firmly in each brief response. Sell the house. Return the money. Then we can discuss moving forward. Alex sent increasingly hostile messages until I blocked him completely. Mutual friends reported he was telling everyone I had abandoned the family out of greed and jealousy. I did not bother correcting the narrative publicly, knowing that time would reveal the truth. Instead, I focused on rebuilding my life. I joined a support group for people dealing with family estrangement, finding solace in stories similar to mine. I began therapy to process the complicated grief of losing my family while they were still alive. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during years of prioritizing my parents' needs. Most importantly, I began dreaming again for myself. I researched properties in neighborhoods I had always admired. I planned a solo trip to Japan, something I had wanted to do for years. I expanded my professional network and explored new career opportunities that had previously seemed impossible due to my family obligations. For the first time in my adult life, I was putting myself first, and despite the pain of estrangement, I discovered a sense of freedom I had never known. The consequences of my parents' decision became apparent within 3 months. Alex missed 2 mortgage payments, forcing my parents to cover the full amount from their limited income. They had to cancel their annual vacation, and my father picked up extra tutoring hours despite his doctor advising him to reduce stress. Their home, which had always been immaculately maintained, began showing signs of neglect as they diverted home repair funds to support Alex. The garden my mother had proudly tended for decades went unplanted that spring. My father continued driving his 15-year-old car despite increasing repair costs because a replacement was now out of the question. Meanwhile, Alex's house, the cause of all this hardship, was not being properly maintained either. Drive-by observations and reports from neighbors revealed overgrown landscaping, peeling paint, and a broken front step that remained unrepaired for weeks. Inside, according to mutual friends who visited Alex, had filled the space with new photography equipment and electronics, while neglecting basic home maintenance. 6 months after our confrontation, I received an unexpected call from my father. His voice sounded older, tired, in a way I had never heard before. "Norris, I owe you an apology," he began, the words clearly difficult for him. "You were right. We made a terrible mistake. He explained that they had finally done the math and realized they could not sustain their support of Alex's mortgage while also meeting their own needs. My mother had developed arthritis that made teaching increasingly painful, but they could not afford for her to retire as planned. We thought we were being fair, balancing what we had given to each of you, he admitted, but we failed to consider the long-term consequences or recognize the magnitude of your sacrifices over the years. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived from my mother. 8 pages of her familiar handwriting detailed her regrets, acknowledgments of her enabling behavior with Alex, and recognition of how they had taken my support for granted. "We always leaned on you because you were strong," she wrote. "But we never considered that even the strongest pillars need support sometimes. We treated your generosity as an expectation rather than the extraordinary gift it was." The most significant development came 3 months later. Alex's house went into pre-foreclosure after he failed to make payments for 4 consecutive months. Despite my parents' assistance, the financial burden had proven unsustainable. He was forced to sell the property in a short sale, recovering only $190,000 of the original investment. The family dream home had become a financial nightmare, costing my parents nearly $55,000 in lost retirement funds, not counting the additional money they had contributed to mortgage payments. Alex moved into a modest apartment, finally facing the reality of living within his actual means. Throughout this period, I maintained my distance while working on my own healing. The initial pain of betrayal gradually transformed into a deeper understanding of family dynamics. I recognized patterns that had existed since childhood: my parents' excessive protection of Alex, my own overcompensating responsibility, and the unbalanced expectations placed on each of us. Therapy helped me understand that I had derived part of my identity from being the family provider, the reliable one who fixed everyone's problems. Breaking that pattern was painful but necessary for my own growth. I learned to set boundaries not just with my family but in all relationships. I discovered new interests that had nothing to do with achievement or provision. I took up hiking, joined a book club, and volunteered at a local coding program for underprivileged youth. I began dating again, this time seeking partners who appreciated my generosity without exploiting it. Friends commented on the positive changes in me. "You seem lighter somehow," my closest friend observed during a weekend camping trip. "Like you are finally living for yourself." 1 year after the initial confrontation, I agreed to meet my parents for dinner at a neutral restaurant. The reunion was awkward at first, all of us carefully avoiding sensitive topics while struggling to find common ground beyond our shared history. Eventually, my father addressed the elephant in the room. "We have been trying to rebuild our retirement savings," he said. "It is not easy at our age, but we are committed to fixing our mistake." My mother added, "We have also been seeing a financial counselor to learn proper budgeting and planning. We should have done this decades ago." They did not ask for money, which represented significant growth on their part. Instead, they shared their new, more modest retirement plans. My father would continue teaching part-time for 3 more years. My mother had found work as an online tutor, which accommodated her arthritis while providing supplemental income. "We want to rebuild our relationship with you," my father said earnestly. "Not because of what you can provide financially, but because you are our son, and we miss you." After careful consideration, I established a small new retirement fund for them, but with conditions. I would match whatever they saved themselves, and they would continue financial counseling. Most importantly, they agreed to never again access these funds without serious discussion with all parties involved. My relationship with Alex remained distant. We exchanged brief civil greetings at mandatory family events, but nothing more. The rift between us might never fully heal, but the active animosity had faded into a cool detachment. He had found steady work as a school photographer, a job less glamorous than his previous ambitions, but providing stable income for the first time in his adult life. That Christmas, we gathered at my parents' house for the first family holiday since the estrangement. The gift exchange was modest, focusing on thoughtful items rather than expensive presents. When Alex opened his gift from our parents, a simple framed print of his photography, I noticed how his expression of gratitude seemed more genuine than in the past when lavish gifts had been the norm. Later that evening, my mother pulled me aside. "I never properly thanked you for all you did for us over the years," she said, her eyes glistening. "Not just the money, but the time and thought you put into securing our future. We did not deserve that level of sacrifice." "We all make mistakes," I replied, finding forgiveness easier than I had anticipated. "The important thing is learning from them. The road to healing our family remains long and uncertain. Trust once broken rebuilds slowly. But we have begun the process with clearer boundaries, more honest communication, and a shared commitment to change. I have learned that sometimes loving someone means not giving them everything they ask for. Sometimes the most generous act is refusing to enable harmful patterns, and sometimes standing your ground, even when painful, is the only way to create space for genuine growth. Through this experience, I discovered that love without boundaries is not really love at all. It is merely dependence disguised as devotion. True love respects autonomy, acknowledges limitations, and honors the dignity of all involved. My family is slowly learning this lesson, and so am I. Sometimes the greatest act of love is not giving everything away, but teaching others the value of what you have given. My family finally understands this now. But I wonder, what parts of yourself have you sacrificed before realizing your worth? If my story resonated with you, please hit like and subscribe to hear more experiences that might help you recognize unhealthy patterns in your own relationships. Share this video with someone who might need permission to set boundaries with loved ones. Comment below with your own stories of family financial dynamics. I read every comment and draw strength from this community. Thank you for listening, and remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect.